All right, let's talk about something that so many aspiring entrepreneurs are thinking about: going into business with a partner. On the surface, it seems like the absolute perfect way to start. You share the work, you share the risk, and you share the excitement. But there are some really serious hidden dangers that you need to know about. So if that's you, you are definitely not alone. It is an incredibly popular path. Teaming up with a friend, a family member, or even a sharp colleague, it just feels like such a natural first step into the business world. But before you jump in with both feet, it is so important to see the whole picture. I mean, the appeal is obvious, right? You get to pool your money and resources. You can combine totally different skills. Maybe you're the sales genius and your partner is the tech wizard. Plus, you've got someone in the trenches with you, someone for that emotional support. It really does sound like the perfect entrepreneurial dream team. But is it really? And this is where we have to pump the brakes for a second, because hiding behind that dream are some pretty significant risks. And we're not just talking about risks to the business. We're talking about risks to your personal life, your finances, and even your most important relationships. So here's our game plan for today. We are going to break it all down. We'll kick things off with the big one, the financial and legal dangers. Then we'll get into the human factor, which is so often overlooked. After that, we'll explore how partnerships can literally bring your operations to a grinding halt. And don't worry, we'll finish up by looking at how you can actually build a better, stronger partnership from day one. Let's dive right into the scariest category of risk first. And I want to be clear, this isn't just about the business losing money. This is about you potentially losing your own personal money. And that brings us to the single biggest financial risk. It's a legal concept called shared liability. So what does that actually mean? Well, it means that if your partner makes a terrible financial call and runs up a massive business debt, creditors can legally come after your personal assets to pay it back, even if you had absolutely nothing to do with it. And the consequences of this are, well, they're severe. We're not talking about some abstract business loss here. We are literally talking about your house, your car, your personal savings account. Everything you've worked so hard for could be seized to cover the business's debts. That is a level of risk most people just don't see coming. Oh, and it doesn't stop there. If your partner does something unethical or even illegal in the name of the business, guess what? You could be held responsible. And getting out of a partnership, it's not as simple as quitting a job. It can turn into a really messy, expensive legal fight. And to top it off, if you want to grow and need investment, a lot of investors get nervous about partnerships. They see them as unstable. Okay, so beyond all the scary legal and financial stuff, there's the human element. And let me tell you, this is where so many partnerships that look perfect on paper just completely fall apart. Disagreements are pretty much guaranteed, and they can pop up over everything. You might want to grow super fast and take on risk, while your partner wants to play it safe and stay stable. You might think you need to pour money into marketing while they want to hoard every penny. These aren't just small tips, they're fundamental conflicts about the entire soul of the business. And here's the really tragic part. When those business disagreements turn personal, especially if your partner is a close friend or a family member, the fallout can be absolutely devastating. Yeah, the business might fail, but losing a relationship you've had your whole life, that's a much, much higher price to pay. And please do not underestimate the sheer emotional toll of it all. Just running a business is stressful enough, but when you add the constant pressure of managing your partner's feelings, their expectations, their frustrations, it can lead to chronic stress and anxiety that directly torpedoes your own well-being. Okay, so we've hit the financial risks, we've hit the personal risks, but what about just running the business day to day? Well, it turns out partnerships can create some major operational headaches. The first big problem is speed, or the lack of it. A solo business owner can make a decision in 5 minutes, but partners, you often have to discuss, debate, compromise, and then finally agree. And in a fast-moving industry, that delay can literally mean watching your competitor swoop in and grab an opportunity you were just too slow to act on. And then there's this classic issue. The imbalance problem. What happens when one of you, partner A, is grinding out 80-hour weeks and partner B is, well, not? If you're both still splitting the profits 50-50, that imbalance is going to breed some serious resentment. It can poison the entire company culture. And then you have the leadership vacuum. If there are two bosses with equal say, who do your employees listen to? When you and your partner give conflicting directions, it just creates chaos. It confuses your team and productivity tanks. Without one clear leader, the whole ship can just end up going in circles. On top of all that, you have to deal with arguments over how to split the profits, the very real risk that your long-term visions just drift apart over time, and the massive instability that happens if one partner just decides to leave. The exit of one person can literally bring the whole company down. Now I know, after hearing all of that, you're probably thinking a partnership is the worst idea ever. But it doesn't have to be. So let's pivot and talk about the most important part of this whole thing, how to actually do it right. Look, the risks are 100% real, but they aren't unavoidable. Success is absolutely possible, but it really all hinges on two core things: having brutally honest, clear communication, and building a rock-solid legal foundation before you even get started. Here they are, the 5 absolute must-haves. First, get a strong legal agreement. This is your rule book for everything. Second, define exactly who does what. This stops that resentment from building. Third, agree on how every dollar of profit and loss will be split right from the beginning. Fourth, and this is so important, have a clear exit strategy. Plan for the breakup before you even start. And finally, number 5, just commit to talking through the hard stuff, openly and honestly, always. So I'll just leave you with this one question, because at the end of the day, this is what it all comes down to. Before you sign a single piece of paper, before you tie your entire future to someone else, have you had the hard conversations? Have you talked about failure? Have you talked about money? Have you talked about how you're going to handle a major disagreement? Having those uncomfortable talks now could be the very thing that saves your business, your bank account, and your friendship down the road.